Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Toilets to Titles NFL show here on a Wednesday night. I'm Joe. I'm your host. Happy to be with you again, on another beautiful NFL Wednesday night. And I say it's an NFL Wednesday night, even though we don't have any games. It's NFL season, and it's a Wednesday night. So this cracked open a nice cold one iced tea. That is little product placement. Hopefully, one day we'll have Brisk as an advertiser. That'll be great. Let me wet my whistle, and I've got my dog Melvin here to say hello. You can't see him, but he's here as always. I'm going to go on mute as I shoo him away for a second. So just bear with me, and I'll get into the bells and whistles and then the content. Hang on one second. Oh boy, I love Melvin, but he's such a pain in the ass. But he's the little boy of the family. Anyway. So yeah, I had to yell at him like 10 times to Melvin, go. Anyway, let's get the bells and whistles out of the way. The wife is coming to save me from the terrible Melvin. I'm just kidding, Melvin. You're not terrible. I love you, but I got to record an episode. Anyway, guys, so don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us a 5-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. Where you can find the show: Apple Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, and Spotify. And if you go to patreon.com/toilets titles, you can learn how you can further support the show. And I want to give a shout out to our current Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for donating to the show. It's really rewarding to know that we all here at Toilets and Titles, we put out various products, and and that you support. You take your time to actually donate some money to us. So we really appreciate it. Every single dollar that you send to us, that you provide on a monthly basis, goes back into making the show as good as we possibly can. So thank you so much. And also, you go to our website, toiletstotitles.com. It says here our new website, but we've had the website for quite a while now. But toiletstotitles.com, it has all of our videos, all of our articles, everything we produce winds up on our website. We cover fantasy football. That's our bread and butter, but we also do more and more college football, and we cover the NFL like I'm doing right here. And draft season, NFL draft season is another bread and butter thing of ours, and we're really big in the draft. We have content for anything to do with football outside of high school football and flag football. And other than those two things, everything else to do with football, we cover it, and you'll find it on our website. And we've got like 15 contributors here to us and titles. We all kind of do our own thing. Some of us do videos, some of us do articles, some do both. So there's always tons of content to be found on our website. So let's get into the. Let me get rid of this over here. Let me get rid of this over here, and let's get to the first game of Week 8. We're doing the recaps right now. The the Ravens have jumped up to 5-3. They defeated the now reeling Buccaneers, who are now 3-5. Final score in this game is 27-22. And you know what? It's funny. I was just saying last week that I felt like the Bengals were ready to take over the division. I'd given up on the Ravens, who I usually pick to win the division, and now it looks like the Ravens are probably in a commanding position to take this division because they've got some reinforcements. They just got a really nice linebacker. They got Roquan Smith from the Bears, and that is a perfect place for Roquan Smith to go. He's going to the Ravens. Nice pickup there. So just they're strengthening the defense. The offense is looking a little better too. They should get Rashad Bateman back sometime soon. I don't think he's going to be back this week, but he should be back sometime fairly soon. Kenyon Drake had a really nice game this week. Edwards had another quiet game, but Kenyon Drake had a really, really big game for the Ravens. They pulled one out against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are trying to come back at the end. They fell short there. I still think the Buccaneers are going to wind up reeling off a bunch of wins and wind up making the playoffs. This team still has way too much talent, and it has Tom Brady. Not that Tom Brady's necessarily looked like the Tom Brady of old. Maybe he's looking old. He's not looking like the Tom Brady of old, but I still got to believe in that guy. They're 3-5. That division's totally winnable, and there's 7 playoff spots altogether. I think the Buccaneers will eventually, and it's got to be done soon, but I think they will do it where they're going to reel off a bunch of wins and they'll make the playoffs. And now I have to reverse myself from last week regarding the AFC North. I got to say that the Ravens are ready to take that division, and the Bengals are not. The Bengals and their offense with Jamar Chase being out, I still think that's a pretty scary offense, but it's not as scary. It's still a good offense, but it's not as scary, obviously, without Jamar Chase. And Burrow again's getting his butt kicked with behind a weak offensive line. Without Jamar Chase, opposing defenses have an easier time bottling up Joe Mixon. So getting Chase back will open things up for the Bengals. But I'm not sure exactly when he's going to be back. I'm not sure how long he's out for, but as long as he's out, it's going to hurt that team. And I think the Ravens are just getting stronger and stronger right now. So the Ravens still have holes in them too. They're not going to a Super Bowl this year, but they probably are in the best position to win that division now. So good game by the Ravens. They are 5-3. They're looking like they're in good shape. The Buccaneers, the 3-5. But listen, like I said, they still have a lot of talent, and I can't give up on that team just yet. Not when they have Tom Brady. I just can't do it. All right, next game. The Broncos won. It feels like forever. It feels like this is like the first win for the Broncos this season. It's been such a rough ride for this team. And they actually traded Nick Chubb, so that's a huge asset that they just traded, which kind of signals to me, and I think to most people, that they're giving up on the season, which is crazy, thinking that they made the huge trade in the offseason for Russ Wilson. They gave him like $240 million or something like that, something crazy. They gave him the big contract. It looked like Russ was going to be the missing piece for this team to actually be a competitor for the Super Bowl. Not that it guaranteed that they were going, but to have to fairly put them in the Super Bowl conversation. They're 3-5, and they certainly have a feeling that they are not going to be a team that's going to go. I definitely don't have a feeling like the Buccaneers that they're a team that can go off any time and go on a winning streak. I don't have that feeling at all. Obviously, they lost Javonte Williams. They just traded Bradley Chubb. They were looking to trade Jerry Judy, but nothing wound up happening with that. But the team's looking to sell. That's pretty incredible to me. What a turn of events in Denver. Really, what a turn of events. But they did hold on for the win against the fighting Jaguars. The Jaguars are 2-6, but don't let that record deceive you. They are a good, talented team that's up and coming. They've got good talent. I thought at this point in the season, I thought the Jaguars really were the better team. Not on paper, not on paper, but just the way that they've been playing. The Jaguars games have been really close. I mean, they've got 6 losses, but all those losses have been like within one score. And they had two good wins early in the season under their belt. So I still think the Jaguars are trending in the right direction. I love the way that their key players are performing. They're getting better and better, especially Trevor Lawrence and especially Etienne. He's looking great. They just traded James Robinson, their other running back, to the Jets, and I think that was a good move for Robinson. I think he's actually, with Brees Hall being out, I think James Robinson's going to wind up taking the RB1 position for the rest of the year from Carter. I know everyone else is buying their fantasy shares on Carter. I'm not really that big on Carter. I'll be honest. I think Robinson is going to win that RB1 position sometime fairly soon. But anyway, the Broncos got the win here, and Jags kept it close like they've been doing all season. And let's move on to the Fighting Falcons. Falcons are 4-4, man. I don't know how they do it. Second year in a row where you think this team is like just not going to have many wins at all, and here they are midway through the season, and they're 4-4. That's pretty damn good. They held on against the Panthers. This game went into overtime, actually, I believe, and they did hold on against the Panthers, 37-34. I think this game did require a big time comeback. Shout out to the Panthers. This is the second week in a row with their rookie quarterback, PJ Walker. I think it's just the second game he started having another big game. Deontay Foreman, the new RB1 for Carolina, ever since they traded Christian McCaffrey, had another monster game. The wide receivers, the passing game, receiving game looks so much better with Walker in there. So they're looking good. They held on to DJ Moore. I think that was a good move there. They still have some talent. Deontay Foreman, man, that's my type. That dude he is a like a dumpster truck. He's a big dude, just barrels you over, and I like that type of running back. I like that type of banger. Just knocking people out of the way. like he's a bowling ball, and they're just bowling ball pins or whatever they're called. But anyway, Carolina, I like the way they've been playing the past 2 weeks. Ever since they inserted PJ Walker in as the starting quarterback, and they fired Matt Rule, who was just completely lost. Matt Rule will do fine back in college wherever he goes. He'll do very well in college. That's where he's meant to be. Who knows? Maybe he tries the NFL again in the future, but next time he should probably be some coordinator instead first, because he was not a head coach. The team, even though they lost, is looking so much better under their new head coach, the interim head coach. And for the Falcons, hey, they pulled out the win. They're 4-4. That team keeps fighting. And Kyle Pitts had a big game. I know everyone's waiting for that. He had a big game. Listen, fantasy owners, fantasy players, which I'm one. I'm in a bunch of leagues myself. Don't worry about Pitts. Pitts is going to be fine. Okay, it's just that opposing teams, were focusing on getting him out of the game this year. So he was obviously the best weapon coming into the season, the biggest mismatch at least, for the Falcons that the Falcons presented to opposing defenses. They focused on taking him out of the game. That's what they're effectively doing. He did have a good game this past weekend, but I'm not worried about Kyle Pitts down the road. He's going to be fine in terms of having a very good career. He's going to be, one of the, top three tight ends of his generation. So I wouldn't worry about Pitts. He's going to be a monster. He'll have a monster career. Okay, let's move on to the 6-2 Cowboys. They got their starting quarterback back. They have their starting tight end back. It seems like he's healthy, or at least healthy enough. And they're rocking. They took care of the Bears, who are now 3-5. Final score was 49-29. But however, Bears have, this is a few weeks in a row now where Justin Fields, second year quarterback, had another good game. And considering that they're going up against the Cowboys, who have a very good defense, they put up 29 points. That's more than most teams have done this season against the Cowboys' tremendous defense. That is really good. And along with Justin Fields getting better and better, the rest of the offense is looking better and better. Khalil Herbert, Montgomery, Mooney, even Cole Kmet. Even Cole Kmet's actually, contributing offensively, besides just as a blocker, but actually as a receiver. The whole offense is looking better. And they just add? They just add? That's right. They just added Claypool at the trade deadline. So, I'm not a huge Claypool fan, but he is a talent too. I'm not a huge Claypool fan in terms of, I think a lot of people a few years ago thought that he'd wind up being a number one receiver, and I never felt really. I like him, but I never felt like that was the ceiling. It hasn't been it's not something that has shown the ability to be yet. But who knows? Maybe playing with, probably his best quarterback so far in his young career, maybe he does take it to a new level. And that's no disrespect towards Ben Roethlisberger, who was his original quarterback, but Roethlisberger was definitely, obviously, at the very end of his career, was not the same quarterback the last few years that he was playing. So that's what I mean. Certainly no disrespect to Roethlisberger. But, as of right now, I think Fields is definitely by far the most talented quarterback that Claypool is going to be playing with. And Fields is just getting started. Fields looks really, really good. It looks like he's looking comfortable. And his passes are so much better, the more accurate. This is what you want to see, the young quarterback. This is what you want to see. And I think Justin Fields is coming along really nicely. It's his second year in the NFL, but it's his first full season as a starter, and I think he's looking pretty darn good. And listen, I was always, Ohio State quarterbacks always scare me, because they're surrounded by so much talent. I think it's hard to actually isolate the quarterback and judge them just for who they are. But Fields is definitely coming along faster than I thought he would. So kudos to him. The Cowboys are looking strong. I think along with the Eagles, they are the two best teams in the NFC. I have the Eagles at number one, definitely, but I think the Cowboys, with Dak being back and Schultz being, healthy, or relatively healthy, or healthy enough, I think the Cowboys are neck and neck with the Eagles. I'll be honest with you, because that defense is still tremendous. And when the Cowboys did lose to the Eagles a few weeks ago, they still didn't have Dak, and that's a huge difference. They still didn't have a healthy or relatively healthy Schultz. So I think the Cowboys are right up there neck and neck with the Eagles. I think the two of them are by far the best teams in the NFC. And I know it's easy to say that about the Eagles, but I think a lot of people seem to kind of like discount the Cowboys. They just seem as only the defense now. which I think is ridiculous because that offense still has a lot of talent. All right, so let's move on to the Dolphins, who are 5-3. They're starting to get things rolling here, aren't they? Right? They're 5-3. They defeated the Lions, who are unfortunately 1-6, 31-27. I'm not surprised that the Lions made this a game with Amon-Ra St. Brown being back. And wait till DeAndre Swift comes back. I assume he's going to be back at some point this year. I haven't checked up. I assume he's going to be back at some point this year. That Lions offense earlier this year that was scoring points like it was, going out of style. I think that was for real. I really think that was for real. But when they lost for a few weeks, when they lost DeAndre Swift and they lost Amon-Ra St. Brown, it just obviously their two best players. It's not going to be the same. So their offensive line is coming along really well. I still think Goff overall looks pretty good. He looks good. And listen, Jamal Williams is a really good running back, but he's not DeAndre Swift. I think Jamal Williams could be an RB1 on many other teams, but he's not DeAndre Swift. But they put up a good fight against a very good team in the Dolphins. So kudos to the Lions for sticking around. I know Lions fans were, wanted more, and especially the way they started to scoring so many points the first few weeks. You have every right to expect more. But listen, I do think you're going to start getting some wins now that you have Amon-Ra St. Brown back. He is a tremendous weapon, man. As much as I loved Amon-Ra St. Brown coming out of USC, I never even thought he'd be this good, and certainly not this quick. So I love that guy. I really do. Anyway, Dolphins took care of business here. Another nice game by Tua and his wide receivers. Um, they also had a nice pickup this week too. Who was it again? Oh my gosh, I forgot who it was that they got, but oh yeah, they got the running back Jeff Wilson from San Francisco. That's right. So they got some reinforcements here. They also got a defensive player, I believe, too. I forgot who that was. Did they get Bradley Chubb? Was that Chubb that they got? God, I should check up on the stuff to refresh my memory before I came on. But Dolphins made a few moves to strengthen their team. They're in a good position in the AFC. I do think I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC, but I think the Dolphins can realistically challenge them, which they did. They obviously gave the Bills their only loss of the season so far. The Chiefs, I think, can obviously can compete against the Bills. Other than that, I think it's those three teams. After that, I think everyone else is definitely a tier below. Um, so good job by the Dolphins. Vikings 6-1. I'd say the quietest 6-1 team I've ever heard. It's funny. You never. Listen. I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Giants fan. I'm in the New York City market. It's all about the Giants and the Jets over here. And yeah, we do pay attention to other teams. If you're a big NFL fan like myself, you do pay attention to other teams. But you hear everyone talking about the really good teams like the Eagles and the Bills and the Dolphins and the sexy teams, if you will. And then you hear about the teams that are crashing and burning like the Buccaneers and the Packers that we all expected so much more from. And no one's really talking about the Vikings, who are a nice, quiet 6-1. And yeah, I'm really impressed with them because they've always had a history of playing down to lesser talent and losing too many of those types of games. But here, and I'm not trying to put the Cardinals in that type of category as like a lesser team because they're not. This was a good game. It was 34-26. The Cardinals are now 3-5, but man, I'll tell you, I still think the Cardinals with DeAndre Hopkins back now, it opens up everything on that offense. It opens up everything. Even though I still don't like the running back situation in Arizona, uh, it opens up everything in that offense. It makes it so much better having DeAndre Hopkins there. And I think the Cardinals are a serious threat to start going on a long winning streak and make the playoffs. I have not forgotten about the Cardinals. I think everyone else has. Everyone else has written them off. I have not. But kudos to you, Vikings. You took care of business. You're seriously taking charge of that NFC North division. You're looking great. And so they're right now they've got the second best record in the NFC. So they're looking really good, looking really good. The Cardinals, but like I said, the Cardinals, I have not given up the Cardinals ever since Hopkins came back just a few weeks ago. That offense is looking so much better, so much more like what we expected, so much more like what we saw last year, looking so much better. And I believe in Kyler Murray. I think the dude is incredible talent at quarterback. So I think the Cardinals they're going to make a playoff push. They're going to make a playoff push by the end of this year. They're definitely going to be in that conversation. I have no doubt about that. They're too talented. And the Cardinals defense is kind of underrated too. They're actually pretty good. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Wow, this game's crazy. The Saints, who are 3-5, they pretty much show up kind of like Every third week, they're 3-5. They defeated the reeling Raiders, who are now 2-5. The final score is 24-0. I don't even know the particulars of this game. I know that Carr didn't play the entire game of. I don't know if that was due to injury, which I don't think it was. I think they just took him out because they were getting blown out. I know the backup quarterback had some snaps in there, and that's what I would do if I was the head coach too. But what an ugly game by the Raiders. You cannot lose. First of all, I think you're too good to lose to the Saints. I know the Saints aren't a pushover. I know they're not a pushover. They're 3-5, and quite frankly, I think they're a deserving 3-5. I don't think they're that great of a team. I think they were kind of built up by other people before this season because they, on paper, have a really good defense. They've got Kamara. They have Olave, who's having a very good, promising rookie season. But I never liked the quarterback situation there. And I did think the defense was kind of overrated, to be honest with you. But they're 3-5. I'm not surprised by the Saints being 3-5, but the Raiders, I'm really surprised about. I think we all are. I mean, we all expected that hey, they could be in last place in the AFC West because that looked like such a juggernaut of a division coming into the season. But even being in the last place of AFC West, you'd expect them to be like 9-8, compared to the rest of the AFC. And because the Raiders are a good team, they're a good team on paper. I think Carr's a very good quarterback. They have Devontae Adams, they've got Josh Jacobs. Um, Waller. I know Waller's out. But listen, this bad football by the Raiders was going on before Waller was injured. So it's not just Waller. Renfro's definitely Renfro. They're basically their wide receiver too is having a horrible season. I don't know what happened to him. I'm shocked because I always liked that guy. He had a really good year last year. Looked like he was going to take another step forward. At least that was my expectation this season. Didn't happen. So they're missing out on so much talent on offense right now. But still, between Carr and Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, they should be better than this. So this is really, really shocking. Um, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Especially with the rest of the AFC West also not living up to expectations. I was kind of hoping the Raiders would be able to take care of things there, but just not going on. And man, 24-0. That is not good at all. Josh McDaniels, I haven't followed what's going on with the Raiders very closely at all this season. I know Josh McDaniels is their first year head coach over there, but right now it is not looking good. Not looking good. And I don't like Josh McDaniels. I'm not wishing any ill on the Raiders. I'm a Giants fan, but the Raiders are actually my number one backup team. I actually kind of root for the Raiders. Um, but I thought they should have won with that interim head coach who, had a good season with them last year, helped get him to the playoffs, and it seemed like the team really responded to him. And but they won with McDaniels, and I get it. I get it. It's not a move I would have made, but I get it. And I can't stand Josh McDaniels. I can't stand after what he did to the Colts a few years ago. I would never hire that guy to sweep the floors. Just would never even do that. So nothing against anyone who sweeps floors. I'm sorry. Maybe I should put it differently. But anyway, I can't stand Josh McDaniels. I would never hire him for anything after what he did to the Colts. Um, and I think the Raiders should have just stuck with their interim head coach at least for another year, and give him a shot because it seemed like the Raiders last year really responded to him. All right, so the Patriots are sticking around, man. Everyone thinks the team is, and it's true, they're lacking in talent, right? But like I've always said, Belichick is the greatest head coach of all time. He's not just the greatest defensive mind of all time, which he is. He is the greatest head coach of all time. And here's a team that's 4-4. They've lost some games maybe they shouldn't have lost. They've won some games maybe they shouldn't have won. The quarterback situation's up in the air, but yet you know what? They're still 4-4. When you look at this team on paper, they're not a great team on paper. This is a team that's being rebuilt. And they're not a great team on paper, but here they are, still 4-4, doing a lot better than many other teams. But they're 4-4. They defeated the Jets 22-17. I'm not surprised by this just because Belichick certainly has a way in handling rookie and second year quarterbacks. When you're a young quarterback, you have to eventually get over that Belichick hurdle, the Belichick hurdle, especially when you play him twice a year. You have to get over that hurdle because he's going to have your number definitely, hands down, no doubt about it, the early part of your career. But you got to get over that hurdle because he will mess with your mind. And Yeah, Zach Wilson's not looking very good right now. I was never all that high in Zach Wilson to begin with, but I do expect more from the guy. I'm not saying, write him off. I'm not writing him off at all. I was just never crazy about this guy's ceiling, to be honest with you. And he's got a ways to go. He's got a ways to go. Obviously, the offense looked a lot better with Joe Flacco in there, and like Rob Saleh said, and he's completely right. They're sticking with Zach Wilson for the rest of the year as a starting quarterback, and as they should. You have to play the guy. You have to let him develop within the offense, and they've got weapons there. I realize Brees Hall is done for the rest of the year, and he was having an outstanding rookie campaign, but they still have other weapons there. They still got weapons. And so hopefully those weapons will and their coaching staff will help Zach Wilson start figuring it out this year. He hasn't been looking good with his opportunities so far this year, but I would assume I'm assuming that the as the year goes on, Zach Wilson will look better and better and better. I still think he has a ceiling, even down the road, that's not all that high. I don't think he's going to be some great quarterback. I think he can be a pretty good quarterback, but I'll tell you, the Jets. I think the Jets are going to win some more games, but I wouldn't be surprised. Say they wind up going on a long losing streak, and they only wind up with say like one more win for the rest of the year, 6 wins. I would not be surprised at all if they take another quarterback in the 2023 draft. I don't think they'd be trading up to do that. But if they say they only have 6 wins and say they're picking at like the number 10 spot, number 11 spot, and if there's a quarterback there that they like a lot, I think they're going to take him out. I don't think they're going to waste too much time on Zach Wilson. That's my feeling about it. We'll see. Um, but he better start showing some growth by the end of the season. He better start showing some growth. As long as he still has the weapons, young weapons like Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore there, and who's the other wide receiver? Curtis was it Curtis Samuel? Who am I thinking of? They have another talented wide receiver. They got Corey Davis. They've got weapons. They've got weapons. He's going to have to start showing some growth by the end of the season. I'm not saying he can't, but I have a feeling if they only wind up with 6 or 7 wins, that they could be drafting another quarterback in 2023, and so could the Patriots. So could the Patriots. Um, let's see. The Eagles are now 7-0, looking like the class of the. They're looking like the class of the NFL, not just the NFC. In my opinion, I think they look like the best team in the NFL, most well-rounded team, even better than Buffalo, better than Kansas City. The Eagles, in my mind, are the team to beat. They are 7-0. That's a well-earned 7-0. Like I said, they are just a well-rounded team. They've got it all, and they're just kicking everyone's butt. They defeated the 2-6 Steelers, who are now the final score was 35-13. Not a close game here. I really didn't follow the box score in this game here, so I really didn't check up on Kenny Pickett to see how he performed. But listen, this is just the Steelers were just simply outmatched. The Steelers will wind up probably getting a few more wins, but listen, the Steelers definitely need a lot more talent. They just traded Claypool. It's totally cool. He wasn't working out there. I get you, Steelers. I get you. They still have some good weapons like their young running back. They have George Pickens and a few of their young wide receivers, but they're definitely in rebuild mode over here. They're definitely in rebuild mode, but the Steelers are in good hands with their front office and their head coach. The Steelers are in good hands. They had a long, successful run of competitive football for like 20 years. Went to multiple Super Bowls, won a few of them. So every team goes through this. So I'm not surprised, but the Eagles are just looking tremendous. They really are, man. Everything they've done in the offseason and even this year with all the trades, free agency signings, draft, unbelievable. This team, the Eagles, are set up so well, obviously for success this year, tremendous success this year. But going forward, they with their draft picks, the amount of draft picks they have, high end draft picks, it's unbelievable how well positioned the Philadelphia Eagles are. It's incredible. I think Howie Roseman might be the GM of the 21st century so far. Incredible how what he's done. Let's move on to the Titans and the Texans. The Titans are now 5-2. They're the team that's probably safely securing the AFC South now. They defeated the 1-5-1 Texans 17-10. It was a close game. I wasn't surprised by this at all. But it's funny. This is last week I was saying that I thought the Bengals were in prime position to take control of the AFC North. They lose, and now I think it's the Ravens. Last week I was saying that well, actually 2 weeks ago I was saying before Matt Ryan was benched, I was saying how I felt like the Colts were in prime position to take control of the AFC South. That didn't happen. Matt Ryan's bench is benched. It's Sam Ellinger time at quarterback for the Colts for the rest of the season. I get it. That's totally cool. But right now the Titans, it looks like they're the team to beat in the AFC South, and that's not saying much, man. I don't think the Titans are that impressive. I know they're 5-2, but that is a very beatable team. This is not the same team that was as good. They're not as good as they were the previous like 2 or 3 years. They're not. The talent's not there. They miss AJ Brown big time. Um, Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are not going to be enough, and they have a good defense, and they are very well coached, and they are very well disciplined, and it's not going to be enough. It'll be enough to win the division, but that's not saying much because this is not a very good division at all. It's one of the worst, if not the worst division in football this year. And I do like the Jaguars down the road. I think the Jaguars are building a really good team there, but they're not going to be they're not going to be good enough this year to beat the Titans. Texans, they hung in there. They're 1-5, 1-5-1, but they've been hanging in there for most of these games this season. So it looks like the Texans, if things stick this way where they only wind up being like a 2, 3, 4 win team, they'll probably be taking another quarterback as well. This upcoming draft. But Titans, it looks like they're in prime position to secure to win that division. It's not looking good that the rest of that division. Titans are 5-2. I think they've got enough to win the division. The record is indicative of that right now here in Week 8, and the rest of the division is just kind of like just not there. It's just not there. So okay, the Commanders. Commanders now 4-4. It wasn't too long ago when they were like 1-4 or 2-4. They're now 4-4. Ever since they benched Carson Wentz or he got a thumb surgery, whatever, you're not going to see Carson Wentz again the rest of the year. And they put Taylor Heineke in. They're 4-4. So this team is looking better. Yeah, they defeated the Colts, who are now 3-4-1. They defeated them 17-16. And the Colts had their rookie quarterback in Sam Ellinger. But you know what? The Commander, and I was never a believer in Taylor Heineke. I think he was a pretty decent quarterback last year, but I thought there was a lot of hype around the guy that I just wasn't buying into. The Commanders' offense definitely responds to this guy, so it's the right move with him being in there. That's the guy you got to ride out for the rest of the season. Commanders now 4-4. Their offense looks actually the way it should. Not that it's a great offense, but you've got Scary Terry actually putting up yards now. There was just too much talent on the offensive side of the ball at Washington not succeeding. It was too crazy. And I believed in Carson Wentz. I defended Carson Wentz. Not that he was a top 10 quarterback, but I thought this guy was still a legitimate NFL starter. You know what? Mea culpa. I guess I was wrong. I guess the Colts offense is looking so much better with Taylor Heineke at the helm. But they're now 4-4. And you know what? You can't count them out. We still got 9 games to go in the season. You can't count the Commanders out for chasing a playoff spot since there are 7 of them. You can't count them out. They're 4-4. They are not out of things. I still don't think their defense is very good. I still don't think their offense is very good overall. But they are 4-4, man. They are 4-4. Okay, speaking of 4-4, the 4-4 49ers defeated their arch nemesis, the Rams, who are now 3-4. The final score of this game, it was 31-14. I don't even know how the Rams are 3-4. It feels like the same thing with the Buccaneers, like they've hardly won any games this year at all. I can't believe it. It feels like they've won one game this entire season. But the Rams are now 3-4. That team's cooked. That team's done. The Rams. Especially if Cooper Cup, I know he suffered an injury at the end of this game. If he misses any time at all, this team is done. I mean, I can't. If he's playing and if he's healthy or healthy enough where he's still, Cooper Cup or close to it, you have to give the Rams a fighting chance. You have to give him a fighting chance. But if he's out, if he spends any time out at all, that team is absolutely done. I mean, in order for the Rams, I think, to really make the division, because like they've got a lot of holes, they need not just a healthy Cooper Cup, they also need OBJ to come back too, and I'm sure he is. They will work out a reunion uh, fairly soon. I have no doubt about that. I don't think OBJ is going to wind up with the Bills or the Packers or the Chiefs. Um, or the Giants. I know a lot of Giants fans are begging for the reunion. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to wind up going back to the Rams. I'm sure they're going to meet his monetary demands. I don't think his monetary demands will be all that crazy. I'm assuming because he should want to go back there. It's a big market. He wants to be in a big market. It's LA. He wants to be in LA. He just won a Super Bowl there. Those two just they need to get together, get him back in the field when he's ready to be back, and he should be sometime soon. I think in early November. So but they're going to need not just OBJ, they're going to need Cup too because they don't have a running game. Their offensive line stinks, so they're going to need two premier wide receivers. And if they can get OBJ back, and if Cooper Cup can stay healthy, the Rams still have a shot to turn this thing around. 49ers are 4-4. Christian McCaffrey had a nice game. 49ers, man, I'm not sold on this team. I don't know what it is. They've got the talent there on both sides of the ball. Man, I am not sold on this team. Um, I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to make as big of a difference for the 49ers as it would have some other teams, say like the Bills, who really needed a running back, say like the Chiefs, who really needed a running back. I don't think he's going to make as big of a difference for the 49ers as people expect. I don't. I really don't. And you still have to be worried that he can make it through the rest of the season without being injured. He's like Sterling Shepard, on my Giants. Like he cannot make it through a season without being injured. That's been McCaffrey for the past few years. So we'll see. But listen, the 49ers got the win here in convincing style. I'm not completely sold on this team. And this is a team right now that you would think would run away with the division, given how poorly the Rams have played this year, even though the Rams are only a game behind them. And the Cardinals. The Cardinals obviously had a really slow start to the season. I do think the Cardinals. You know what? I think the Cardinals are going to wind up winning the NFC West. I think they'll take it over the 49ers over the long run. I do. I do. The 49ers are just looking just too damn inconsistent. And again, I know it sounds ridiculous because they just had this convincing win against the Rams, but it's been too much of this, going back and forth where they're only 4-4. They're only 4-4. And I just something about them. I don't feel good about the 49ers. I feel better about the Cardinals. Okay, the Seahawks defeated my Giants. The Seahawks, man, are 5-3. They're looking really, really good. They defeated my Giants, who are 6-2, 27-13. Let me tell you, man, Geno Smith. Holy cow, does he look good? And I'm really happy for the guy. And I have to give kudos to Nino Brown. Here at Tulsa Titles, our very own Nino Brown, before the season started, even during the summer, he was touting Geno Smith, how he thought Geno Smith was going to have a great year. I know I scoffed at it. I thought they should have been, starting Drew Lock because give the guy he's a young quarterback, give him a chance, give him another chance on a different system in Seattle instead of Denver. And they want Geno Smith. Nino Brown called it. Geno Smith is looking tremendous. Honestly, right now he's looking up there like with Patrick Mahomes and uh, and Josh Allen as like the top three quarterbacks. He looks that good. He really does. Seahawks have really turned it around. Pete Carroll, man, he really turned it around quick. He had a killer draft. He got two young, promising tackles um, this year, and they're doing a good job on the offensive line. And he got two really good young cornerbacks as well on this draft, and they're both having great seasons. He got Kenneth Walker, who's looking like a monster. I think he had a quiet game against the Giants, just like the Seahawks pretty much shut down Saquon. The Giants also kind of focused on taking Kenneth Walker out, and I think they were pretty successful as well at it. But he does look good. He really does look good though. And they still have Metcalf. They've got Lockett. Geno Smith, man, he look right now he's looking like the best, like the third best quarterback in the NFL this year. So what a comeback! And the guy's like 30 years old. What a comeback by the guy. He was throwing beautiful passes against, the Giants this weekend. Listen, the game should have been like the Giants. I'm not saying the Giants should have won this game. The Seahawks should have won this game, but you had Richie James on the Giants who dropped two punt returns. He fumbled two punt returns, which directly led to 10 points by the Seahawks. So, should have been 17-13 and not 27-13. And when it's 17-13, is how you call your offense for the Giants. But Giants are in trouble. They're in trouble. Well, I don't want to stress that too much. I mean, listen, we already knew they were very limited on offensive talent. But Seahawks played the Giants offense really well, where obviously they focused on taking Saquon Barkley away, and they focused on taking away Danny Dimes' ability to run. And that made all the difference because the receiving weapons just aren't there. They also were double teaming Wan'Dale Robinson, who had a few nice games for the Giants in a row. And basically, the only offensive player that really did anything was Slayton. And it wasn't like he had some monster game. He's not that type of receiver anyway. He can help you out, but he's not like, this isn't DeAndre Hopkins we're talking about here. So Seahawks defense played a right, man. And as a Giants fan, you got to hope that things haven't been figured out. It's not like there's all that too much to figure out with the Giants offense. I'm not going to go crazy here, but yeah, listen, they took care of business against the Giants. What can I say? Giants, you need to get your rookie tight end Bellinger back pretty quick because hopefully he's not out for too many more weeks because that was kind of like just losing him. Listen, I'm not saying it's Travis Kelce, but he was having a really good season for the Giants. He scored a few touchdowns for them. And the Giants could not afford to lose any other weapons that have actually been contributing this year. They couldn't afford to lose Bellinger. They certainly couldn't afford to lose Saquon. They can't afford to lose Wan'Dale Robinson or Slayton. They need all of these guys because it's not overall that much talent, obviously. And just to lose even one of those players like Bellinger just really hurts dramatically. So, but anyway, 27-13. She really should have been 17-13. Those two muck punts, by Ricky James on the Giants just totally killed them. But listen, man, Giants have got to be putting up more points. 13 points isn't going to do it anyway. Whether you're losing 17-13 or 27-13, it really doesn't matter. It's not enough points. But Seahawks are looking really good, and they got a nice matchup coming against the Cardinals this upcoming weekend. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but hats off to Geno. Man, what a season! Honestly, looking so good. The Bills are 6-1. They defeated the Packers, who are now 3-5. The final score is 27-17. I did call this in terms of the spread. The Packers were getting 11 points or 11 and a half points last week. I did take the Packers getting the points, so I got that one right. I also got right that the Bills won straight up. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this game. The Bills are the Bills. The Packers are not having a good year at all. Um, the Bills are 6-1. They're looking fantastic. They also traded for Hines, the running back from Indianapolis. So that should help him out a little bit. He should be a nice fit in their offense. I still want to see the Bills get like a legit RB1, like a real, three down running back in their offense. But have a feeling they tried to trade. They made an inquiry to the Giants about Saquon because GM Joe Shane of the Giants said that he said yesterday that there was a team that called about one of their very best players, and he said it was a cold no. I could only assume that it was Saquon. I'm just assuming it was the Bills. I'm just assuming it was the Bills. But anyway, Bills are looking great. I still think the Eagles are the team to beat in the entire NFL. But Bills obviously are looking great. Josh Allen is playing at such a high level, and the whole rest of the team is playing at a high level. Also, the defense too. The defense for the Bills is looking. They're really good. They're really good. Let's move on to the Browns defeating the Bengals. Browns are now 3-5. They defeated the Bengals, who are 4-4. Nobody really wants to win this division except for maybe the Ravens. Maybe. Final score is 32-13. Monster game by Chubb. He had a really good game. Quarterback Jacoby Brissett for the Browns had a really good game. Joe Burrow, man, Bengals after this offseason. If I'm the owner of the Bengals, I'm telling my general manager, no matter what, you are drastically improving this offensive line for the Bengals this offseason. Otherwise, you're fired. And I don't care if you drafted Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and anyone else, and we went to the Super Bowl a year ago. If I'm the owner of the Bengals, I'm telling my general manager, you are fixing this offensive line or you're fired. You got one off season to do it. And that includes stocking up your draft picks with the offensive line and also free agency too. It doesn't matter. If you need to take money away from the defense, then you do that. You got to protect Joe Burrow. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Browns, they're hanging in there. They're hanging in there until hopefully, Deshaun Watson comes back like week 11. Browns are hanging around. They're hanging around. So let's move on to the next. Oh, that's it. That was the last game for week 8? That's right. That was the Monday night game. These primetime games have not been very good this season. Last year, the primetime games were phenomenal. This year, pretty boring actually. Anyway, so we're going to do the week 9 picks with the spread and without. All right, everybody. So last week, week 8, with the spread, I was 8-7. Should have been better, but 8-7. And straight up, I was 9-6. For the season so far through 8 weeks, with the spread, I am 60, 60, and 3 with the spread. Straight up, I am 66, 56, and 1. All right, so let me do this over here. Okay, so these are the week 9 games here. The Thursday night game tomorrow night, Eagles at the Texans. The Texans are getting 14 points at home. My rule of thumb generally is that when a home team, obviously they're not good. If they're getting something like 10 points or above, obviously they're not going to be a good team. But I'd go with the home team, not in this situation. The Eagles are just too good. Texans, the Texans are a fighting team. I give them credit, but I can't see this game being close. If this were say like the Texans and maybe any other team, maybe I would take that 14-point spread with the Texans, but not against the Eagles. I'll take the Eagles, giving the points to the Eagles straight up. Let me wet my whistle here. Chargers at the Falcons. The Falcons at home are getting 3.5 points. I'm going to take the Falcons getting the points. I'll take the Chargers straight up. Falcons have been a fighting team the entire season. Dolphins at the Bears. The Bears are getting 5 points at home. Justin Fields has been looking really good. The offense has been coming along very nicely for Chicago. However, they also just traded Roquan Smith. That does not help at all. He's a tremendous inside linebacker. But I got to go with the Dolphins. Even with the Dolphins giving the points, I'm going to go with the Dolphins, and I'm going with the Dolphins straight up. I think the Bears could actually keep this like within a one-score game, like within one touchdown. But only 5 points. The Bears are getting 5 points at home. Now I got to go with the Dolphins, give them the points, and the Dolphins straight up. Okay, Panthers at the Bengals. The Bengals are giving 7.5 points. I'm going to go with the Panthers getting the points, and I'll go with the Bengals straight up. Panthers their offense has been looking so much better with PJ Walker at the helm. I'll roll the dice here. Bengals have not looked great this season anyway. I believe Jamar Chase is still going to be out. Even if he's not, I'll tell you what. Even if Jamar Chase is playing, even if he is playing, I'll take the Panthers getting the 7.5 points, and I'll take the Bengals straight up to win. Packers at the Lions. The Lions are getting 4 points at home. I'll take the Lions getting the points, and I'll take the Packers straight up to win in a close game. Colts at the Patriots. I'll take the Colts getting the 5.5 points, and I'll take the Patriots straight up. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if the Colts won this game because they've got Sam Ehlinger, the rookie quarterback, playing, and I'd be surprised if they won because listen, the Colts are definitely a more talented team on paper, but Bill Belichick just messes with young quarterbacks so badly. That's why I'd be completely surprised if the Colts won this game. But so I got to go with the Patriots straight up. But I think that Ellinger can keep this game close if he just avoids mistakes or not more than one mistake and don't make it too critical, like close to your own end zone, for example. Minimize the mistakes. I think the Colts will keep this game close, and it's not like the Patriots are world beaters anyway. But yeah, the game's in New England. Um, I'll go with the Patriots straight up, but I'll go with the Colts to keep it close. I'll take the Colts getting the points. The Bills at the Jets. The Jets are getting 12.5 points at home. I think the Bills are going to roll all over them. I'll take the Bills giving the points and the Bills straight up. If Joe Flacco was playing, I think this game would be closer. But then again, the spread probably wouldn't be 12.5 points. But I'll go with the Bills at the Jets. I'll go with the Bills giving the points and the Bills straight up. Vikings at the Commanders. The Commanders are getting 3.5 points at home. I'll take the Vikings giving the points, and I'll take the Vikings straight up. Man, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think the Commanders are going to win, but don't be shocked if the Commanders make it a pretty darn close game, especially in Washington. But I'll go with the Vikings giving the points and the Vikings straight up. Raiders at the Jaguars. Okay, let's see. Whenever I pick the Jaguars, they lose, but the Raiders have not been looking good at all. I'll go with the Jaguars getting a point and a half at home, and I'll take the Jaguars straight up. Seahawks at the Cardinals. This is probably the game of the week. At least it's the best matchup so far that I've covered for the week 9 games. Seahawks at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are giving 2 points. I'll take the Seahawks getting the points. I'll take the Cardinals straight up to win. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a nail biter. So I'll take the Seahawks getting those 2 points, but I'll take the Cardinals straight up. Rams at the Buccaneers. Wow, two seriously underperforming teams. Seeing who can underperform more this year, unbelievable. The Rams are at the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are giving 3 points. I got to go with the Buccaneers giving the points, and I got to go with the Buccaneers straight up. Neither team looks good, but the Buccaneers have a lot more weapons than the Rams do. All the Rams really have in offense is Cooper Kupp, and you got to hope that his ankle isn't all that messed up because they need him to be 100% to have any chance in any game. So I think the Buccaneers just have too many weapons for the Rams. I don't think the Rams will be able to keep up, especially if Cooper Kupp is hobbled in any way. So I'll go with the Buccaneers giving the points and the Buccaneers straight up. Titans at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are giving 12.5 points. I am surprised by this spread. That's a big spread. The Titans are 5-2. They're really nobody's pushover. They never are. I'm gonna go with the Titans getting the points. I'll take the Chiefs straight up to win. Definitely. I definitely think the Chiefs are a much better team, but 12.5 points. Listen, the Chiefs can do it. I get it, but when it comes to betting money, I'd have to go with the Titans getting the 12.5 points, and I'll take the Chiefs straight up. Okay, last game. Ravens at the Saints. There's a lot of teams on bye this week. There's quite a few teams on bye this week. This is the Monday night game. Ravens at Saints. The Saints are getting 2.5 points at home. I'll go with the Ravens getting the points, and I'll take the Ravens straight up. I think it'll be a pretty hard fought game. I think the Saints will put up a fight in New Orleans, and the Ravens haven't been world beaters, but the Ravens have added some nice reinforcements. They have added some nice reinforcements. So I'm going to go with the Ravens giving the points and the Ravens straight up, and that is my last pick for the week 9 games. Everybody, just a friendly reminder before I go, here are the Twitter handles for me and all my compadres here at Toilets Titles. There's about 15 of us. You know what? We actually have a new member. His name is Russ. I forgot his Twitter handle. His name is Russ. I got to put him down here. I'll do this after the show's over. But please, if you could follow each of us on Twitter, we'd greatly appreciate it. And then also, if you can, just a friendly reminder for the last time, tonight that is, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell, and give us that five-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Enjoy your week 9 games coming up starting tomorrow night, Thursday night, and I'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody.